Hello to everybody who's not sure what animal they'll be wrestling on the front lawn. It's Beautiful Anonymous. 1 hour. One phone call. No names. No holds barred.
I'd rather go one-on-one. I think it'll be more fun. And I'll get to know you and you'll get to know me.
Hi everybody, Chris Gethard here. I know some people really like the intros of the show. Other people want to get right to the phone call. If you're one of the people who wants to get to the phone call, just remember my tour dates are at punchup.live/Chris Gethard. You can find our bonus content at beautifulanonymous.com. And if you want to get right to the phone call, skip about 13, 14 minutes ahead. That'll put you right towards the beginning of the call. Thanks. Hi everybody, Chris Gethard here. Welcome to another episode of Beautiful Anonymous. I'm very psyched for you to hear this one because I will say this one sort of has everything we like all in one call. This is one of those calls that you can, there's a lot of people out there go, here's the type of call I like on Beautiful Anonymous. This call is all those. This call's all those things. It's all those types. We'll get into that in a second. Do just want to remind everybody I've got a lot of tour dates out on the road, so many more, and I'm announcing some more last minute for you as well. Do want to mention, first things first, this is coming out on June 25th, 2024. If you're in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, I'm there Saturday night, June 29th. Sunday, June 30th, I am in Woodstock. Those shows aren't selling great. They're not pathetic. But I'm hoping week of we can really get some sales. This is a very special tour to me. I'm going out with Eddie Pepitone, who has long been someone I've admired. If you've never seen Eddie Pepitone live, one of the most brilliant comics out there. Also bringing Keegan Tyndall, who is absolutely crushing it all over the social media. I know him. He's a Jersey City-based comic. Funny, sweet, hardworking kid, easy to root for. He's been through a lot in life. And you're going to want to come see this tour because you get to see me, who you like from the podcast, Eddie, who's an absolute legend in the game, and Keegan, who in 3 years, you're going to go, I saw that guy in Lancaster, Pennsylvania on June 29th, 2024. I saw him at the Bearsville Theater in Woodstock, New York on June 30th. And here's the best part, is that none of these comics are the types of people that are trying to bait you into a fight for cheap social media content. And I promise you that. We also have a show in Evansville, Indiana, where I've never been. That's on July 7th. And the tickets for that are selling great. And I just have to say, thanks to everybody in Evansville, Indiana, because I don't even know that I've heard of Evansville, Indiana, but I'll be there at an arcade called Arcademy, and it's almost sold out. So thank you for that. Tickets are moving for Pittsburgh, July 30th. Morgantown, West Virginia, July 31st. We got to get some movement in there. Kansas City, Missouri I'm at the Ship on August 13th. We can get that better. Off-Broadway, St. Louis, one of my favorite venues. Let's do it. X-Ray Arcade on August 15th. That's in, I always mispronounce it, and people get so mad. Cudahy, Wisconsin. I could just say Milwaukee and make it easy. Could just say Milwaukee like everybody else would, but no. I'm in Chicago on August 16th. I'm in Ferndale, Michigan, August 17th. I'm in Lakewood, Ohio, August 18th. Somerville, Mass, October 2nd. Garwood, New Jersey, almost sold out on October 3rd. Baltimore, selling great, October 4th. Hamden, Connecticut, October 6th. Punchup.live/Chris Gethard. And also wanted to let you know that I'm joining a tour, this Good Laugh comedy tour. It's me and a bunch of other comics. That one's coming up very soon. I'll be in Muncie, Indiana, July 7th. Hazard, Kentucky, July 9th. I'll be outside of Memphis on July 10th and in Fayetteville, Arkansas, July 12th. So those are coming up so soon. Muncie, Hazard, Memphis, and Fayetteville. And that's part of this very special tour where they're getting a bunch of comedians from different walks of life who have different things to say together. And they're going to areas where maybe things are a little divided politically and trying to use comedy to get people laughing, feeling good, connecting with each other. So I'm so psyched about that one. So again, all those are available at punchup.live/Chris Gethard, and I really, really hope you'll come out And of course, let's not forget that on July 2nd, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the only Beautiful Anonymous taping scheduled for this year. Everything else is a stand-up show. July 2nd, Philly. It's free. It's part of Fringe Arts. punchup.live/Chris Gethard. Come on out, Philly. Let's do it. July 2nd. And remember, June 29th, Lancaster, PA. June 30th, Woodstock, New York. I need people out there. Got to kick this tour off right. I tell you, I think part of the problem is that a lot of smart people listen to Beautiful Anonymous, and smart people don't want to go to comedy shows right now because comedy has become this thing where what it is people on TikTok harassing the people who have come to the shows and then making fun of them and getting viral fame off of it. It's not what I do. It's not what I'm interested in. It's not the domain I wish to dwell in. And if you go, I want stories, I want jokes, I want moments of levity, I want to feel good, I want to feel connected to the other people in the room, I want to laugh amongst other people while having some drinks, having some food, enjoying my life, letting my guard down for a while, getting the dopamine kick that comes with laughter without the anxiety that comes with wondering if you're going to be the target that night. You come see me, you don't have to deal with any of that nonsense, everybody. Do want to also say, speaking of comedy, you want to hear about some comedy that actually made me feel inspired by comedy again. There's a comic, I don't know him, I don't know that we've ever even crossed paths. He's Houston-based, his name's Ali Sadiq, and he just put out the last of 4 installments of this, I don't even want to say special, this series of specials called The Domino Effect. I think Beautiful Anonymous fans, you'll really love it. And I'm late to the game on this. I've been hearing about it for a while. The part 1 came out a couple of years ago. It's got 12 million views. So it's not like this is an unknown thing that I'm discovering. Sometimes I discover the unknown comics and I let you know who they are. Like Keegan Tyndall, who's opening for us. Someday he's going to be world famous and I'll get to say, that's cool. I helped Keegan figure out how the road life works in his early time as a comic. That's awesome. Ali does not need my help, but I can just tell you, each installment of The Domino Effect is about an hour and a half long, talks about his life in Houston, specifically how he came to be part of the street life and how he came to participate in some things that landed him in a penitentiary. Super detailed about what every step of the way was like in that life experience. There's certainly some things in the special that are very debatable, especially in the 4th one, about modern social standards. But one thing that I'll say without defending any of that is first of all, it's refreshing to see someone tell stories and it really is art. You watch this Domino Effect and you sit here and you go, man, this is comedy that's actually aspiring to be something. And it's game-changing. It's one of the best things I've ever seen. And then when there are things that feel inappropriate, at the very least, there's 6 to 7 hours of life experience you've heard about where you go, well, at the very least, this is a person's lived life experience in an environment that's extreme. And at the very least, there's an open debate to be had about why this is inappropriate. And if the context of a lived experience and a dangerous life and a dangerous world you're living in changes the conversation. And even just that is refreshing, to have something that's layered and debatable and not clunky and clickbaity and stupid. So kudos to Ali Sadiq, who will probably never hear this and who does not need my kudos and does not need my validation. But for the Beautiful Anonymous community, if you are interested in hearing someone tell an extraordinarily detailed, well-crafted, very, very funny life story about some stuff that keeps tumbling downhill in ways that are extreme, which people who like this show, like that, you will be fascinated by the domino effect. And my guess is that you'll get something out of it. And as I said, even the parts that push buttons. Oh, sorry, everybody. If you heard that beeping, there's a 911 call in my town. I'm not on duty. Don't worry, everybody. I don't have to run out the door. But like I was saying, if you get to parts where you go, I don't even know how to feel about this. In some sense, I'm with you. And in another sense, I go, how good does it feel to have that born out of actual discourse and effort and somebody actually trying hard to be an artist? Really incredible work. Really incredible work. It's the type of thing that it's probably the most I have felt inspired by anything artistic in comedy in 5 to 10 years. And you need that every once in a while, you know? Whatever you do with your life, if you're not finding ways to stay inspired by it and stay engaged in it and feel like the bar's being raised, well, then what are you doing? Your head's in the sand. Especially as an artist, I feel that. So, happy to always pass along a recommendation of something that has inspired me. And The Domino Effect by Ali Siddiq is one of those things. Anyway, today's story is one of those things as well. Today's story is so inspiring. Like I said in the beginning, the thing that you'll hear even right now that I'm kind of giggling with the anticipation of you all hearing this. And man, I am. And you're going to hear the first half of the call. You're going to hear the first chunk of it. And you're going to go, why was he giggling? Because it's about some stuff that's very hard. It's about the caller diving into a life of helping others. But as we all know, helping others often means walking into situations that are difficult and uncomfortable, and that sacrifice is real. But then you will start to hear that unravel, and you'll come to hear how a person becomes someone who wants so much to connect with others on a day-to-day basis. And a lot of that involves lived experience. That involves moments that no one sees coming, starting with the caller, and then me, and then you, and I'm sure everybody's in this caller's life many times. There are some things in here that are grim and worth talking about because society owes it to each other to help each other. There are other things in here that count among the most ridiculous of the ridiculous things we often hear on this show. I will also say thanks to everybody who has signed up at beautifulanonymous.com for our bonus content. But as you can imagine, by the end, with this caller who can go in any direction at any given point in an unpredictable way, the format of our bonus content is aimed to send it in unpredictable directions. And I will just say that I'm very proud of this week's bonus content. I also want to say thank you to the, at current count, 840 people who have signed up for Beautiful Anonymous Plus by going to beautifulanonymous.com. That being said, I hope everybody's having a great day. I hope you find something in your life that challenges you, that amuses you, that gives you the adrenaline rush of feeling connected to a community. Might I suggest that if you're in a city I'm traveling to, I would love to be a part of that. punchup.live/Chris Gethard for those cities and dates. And maybe it's Ali Siddiq, maybe it's this call, maybe it's something that you'll let me know about. But find ways to hear each other, to help each other, to connect with each other's stories. Let's find those ways, and let's start with this brilliant caller.
Thank you for calling Beautiful Anonymous. A beeping noise will indicate when you are on the show with the host.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. How's it going?
Good. It's good today. It's very hot. A heat wave
Good.
in New Jersey, but I'm hanging in okay.
Oh, it's not a heat wave here, but so it's warm, so I'll take that. I listen to you on 1.5 speed on my earbuds, so it feels really weird how slow you're talking.
Fascinating. So to you, it sounds like I'm in slow motion right now.
It totally does, and I feel like I'm in fast forward.
Oh, see, that's what you get. That's what you get for trying to rush through all this solid gold that I send your way. That's what you get.
I don't listen to it on 2%, then I rush through it. But 1.5 is manageable.
No, I understand a lot of people enjoy the 1.5 experience. More power to you, but I like hearing that now. So to you, it sounds like I just like drank a bunch of cough syrup and I'm trying not to fall asleep.
Yeah, totally. Like you're going to fall asleep on me, and I haven't even started talking.
Look at that. Look at that.
I'm remarkably nervous. I know
There's
you
no
say
need.
don't be and all that jazz, but I am.
Outside of the nerves, how are you today?
I am good. It's Friday. I'm really glad it's Friday. Work has been really hectic the last little while, so I'm looking forward to the weekend, and I'm going to go spend some time with my folks and with some friends from my hometown, which is about an hour away from here. So I'm excited about that.
Nice. That sounds like a solid weekend.
And I'm blowing off an hour of work.
Good. Is that going to add to the stress later, though?
No, because my boss isn't here. That's okay.
Oh, good. Good.
I'm in Canada, and it's Indigenous Peoples Day here today, and so most of our team is at a round dance right now to honor that. So I'm helping to hold down the fort at the office. So
Got it.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I work for a nonprofit that supports women with children who are leaving abusive situations and who are in need of transitional housing while they figure out their next steps and do some healing and some growth and all of that jazz.
I can understand why that job gets stressful.
It can, yeah.
Yeah, you
It
must see
can. It's
some
really good
hard
work.
things.
So I'm I feel so fortunate that folks allow like me the opportunity to step alongside them for little bits of their lives, and that they are able to share pieces of their life with me. It feels like such an honor, and like I'm so grateful for that, and like for the opportunity for me to learn and to hear stories and to step alongside the people and like give them hugs and all that jazz, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you are really. It sounds like people who have hit a breaking point, people who are in dangerous situations, people who have decided they need help when it's not easy to get help. It sounds like you're right there in the trenches to be one of the first people helping them come out of it. And sounds super intense, but I also feel very lucky that there's people like you in the world.
You know, it can be intense, but I find it more often than not, it's just really rewarding. And those, you know, like you see the little kids come downstairs and they're all smiles and happy, and it doesn't matter how stressful the day is, you know, and like they come in my office and push all the buttons on my computer or whatever, and those are the moments, right?
Yeah. I've had it explained to me by people who work in mental health that while yes, there are a lot of things that can damage kids and both in the short term and long term, that it's shocking how resilient kids are. That
Oh my God, I know.
When kids come out of bad situations, that it's sort of shocking and inspiring to see that they can go back to being kids relatively quickly. And that was very
There's
eye-opening.
nothing better than when the courtyard is full of kids who are running around playing and screaming, and they're like, "Hey, worker!" The one little boy calls me that. "Hey, worker, can you fill this up with water?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And then he dumps it on his head, and I'm like, "Perfect!" You know, like those are the moments.
That'll get you through a hard day, I bet.
Yeah, it is. And then I'm so fortunate to be able to go home to my own home, you know, and with my family and all those things, and to be safe in those moments. So I have a distinct privilege of being able to step out of it too.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for doing vital work.
It's good work.
Yeah. How do you get into that?
Really by chance. So the organization I have been at for a year, but I worked here for almost 7 years, sort of 7 years ago. as well. And I had come back home from traveling. I did kind of 5 years of skipping about the world in different places, going to school and teaching English and working in like rural West Africa and stuff like that. And I came home and I was like, not really sure what I wanted to do with myself. I was going to do international development work. Like that was my dream. I wanted to work for the United Nations, and I was going to, like fix the world. And I came home from sort of 5 years of doing not all of that, but some of that, really feeling disenchanted with it and really feeling like I gained more from those experiences than I was able to give. And I wanted to focus my efforts here instead, and to be like, I shifted gears. And so there was a new program opening up here at this, in this organization. And I got interviewed as a case manager. So like a real frontline in the trenches role. And, they took a chance on me. I'm not a social worker, but they took a chance on me just based on my background and I guess how the interview went or whatever. And I just really fell in love with it. And so I have done domestic violence work, but for quite a while, but also like with the folks who are houseless or people who are using substances or experiencing like complexities related to their mental health and physical health. So it's just there's just some really beautiful people who's like the moment that they are in now doesn't define who they are. And you can get to know folks in a really beautiful way and have these really beautiful connections with people that aren't always offered that opportunity to have those connections. And I think my time is well spent here. So
it's really incredible. And I have to ask, when you're working in a context like this, seeing people at their lowest, seeing people at their most desperate, seeing people who thought help was not possible, and then they throw a complete Hail Mary pass and wind up working with you. There also comes a time where your workday wraps up and then you got to go home, and like you're on the way home and you're like, oh, wait, I'm supposed to pick up milk and eggs and I got to go to the grocery store. Or like, hope I can get to the dry cleaner before it closes, let alone until you get back to your life where you have to interact with all the people in your immediate vicinity. How do you drive home from that job and have a life outside of it?
So it took me a long time. So when I first started in this work, I would cry every day in the car on the way home. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, this is insane. People are evil. People are horrible to each other. Like those things. Like the world is a horrible place, and I'm going to get a job at Starbucks. But I learned to compartmentalize, and I learned to have really strong boundaries, and I communicate those boundaries with folks, and I hold true to those boundaries. And so that time in the car between work and home is where like it's a conscious choice to like leave work here. And I always say that if I think about a client, when I'm in the shower, like that most personal time, if I'm thinking, and that sounds gross and creepy, and I don't mean it in that way, but like if I'm thinking about work while I'm in the shower or a person while I'm in the shower, then I need to do some work. So I need to talk to a counselor, or I need to debrief with my supervisor or my team or something like that. I try really hard.
That's such a good simple marker. You gave yourself a simple marker of like, if it's laundry or dishes or while I'm watching TV, maybe, but the shower is my personal signal that it's stuck in my head and I need to go help. I need help sorting it out.
Then it's too much. Yeah.
Wow. I also feel like you came up with such a good advertising slogan for Starbucks to come get workers. Just, the world is a horrible place. Come work at Starbucks.
But then you know what I realized? So I was like one day fantasizing about working at Starbucks. Like one of the day, it wasn't in this job, it was another job, and things were going horribly sideways. And, we worked in a building where it was 23 individual apartments where folks could use substances and there was no requirement for it's a housing first program, right? So your housing is first, and all the other things will come in line if and when they come in line. And so it can be a bit of a rodeo sometimes in there. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna go work at Starbucks. Like some guy just smashed the toilet on the third floor. Like we've got a 3-level flood. Like there's just chaos is raining. EMS, fire department, everyone is here, and then I was like, but I would way rather deal with this human who's having a really crappy day because perhaps they smoked a little bit too much meth than deal with someone who didn't get their latte made the way they want and like yells at me, you know? Like I have way more compassion and like empathy and love in that situation than if you were like, I asked for no foam and you put foam, you know?
Right. I get that. Right. If you're like working in the world of harm reduction and the destigmatization of drugs and trying to get people to ease off of drugs in a way that feels voluntary and not punitive, and because of that, someone who has a drug problem smashes a toilet, I get how that is preferable than like somebody who won't look up from their phone while ordering, who then is like, I said almond milk.
Totally. And it's that human connection, right? Like I think, my heart also goes out to people who work in retail because and like food service and like that's hard work. Because people aren't at their best in those moments, but there's no reason usually for them not to be, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody has baggage.
Everybody has what?
Everyone has baggage. Everyone has stuff going on, but
true. And
everyone, you know, like there's always something. I shouldn't say there's no reason, but if you have the privilege of ordering, you know, a $7 coffee from Starbucks, then we can look at each other in the eye and smile once in a while.
I sometimes think that there will be a class war in America, at least. I don't know if you feel the same way in Canada. And I have a feeling it's going to start with a Starbucks worker who gets pushed too far. Just some Starbucks worker who just thinks quietly to themselves, I can't hear the word venti one more time. And then the entire country, that person takes actions that lead the entire, that's like the Archduke Franz Ferdinand in World War I moment.
And it'll be Facebook Live or something.
Yeah. It'll all be streamed on Instagram. There will be TikTok videos. Everybody at Walmart will just sit here and go like, what the? They teach us how to get food stamps while we're getting our orientation? What? And then it's on. I think that might be how it starts. Just one person who's like, I can't make one more chai tea latte today. And then it's everything changes overnight. Yeah. That's what I think.
One of those like secret menus that are always around on social media where you're like, it doesn't actually exist, but people want people to believe that it does.
Yeah, it'll be somebody who works.
That would push me over the edge.
Jamba Juice still around? Jamba Juice had a good secret menu. You could go in and be like, make mine taste like gummy bears, or I want the peanut butter and jelly one. And they knew how to do it, but it's just going to be somebody who's like, fuck your gummy bears. And then the next thing you know, there's bricks flying on the streets of every city. That's how it goes.
I kind of look forward to the day, actually.
Who knows how that's going to go?
Who knows? Who knows?
Well, I'm glad we can chuckle about an impending class war. I'm glad that's where we're at.
If we don't laugh about it, then what will we do? I've got the sickest sense of humor from working in this sector too. So
I have to imagine. And is that true for a lot of your coworkers?
Uh-huh.
I bet.
Yeah.
It strikes me that you probably work in a job where if people knew stuff that was causing laughs or at the source of laughs, that people would view it as really inappropriate, but that any psychologist would say, any psychologist would go, no, we have to let the jokes happen or else these people will crack. We have to.
No, for real. Like sometimes we erupt into laughter over the most ridiculous things or the most inappropriate things. And oh my gosh, yeah, so many of those moments where you're like, I have to laugh or I'm going to run out of pure screaming. So, yeah.
I bet. Any examples of a time where you were like, I need to walk away because I'm laughing, and if anyone sees me laughing, they're gonna think I'm a sociopath, so I have to just walk away because
I don't even, it just happens so frequently, but I think one time in that same building, so not here, but somebody had moved out and their fridge was in, it was a biohazard, let's be honest. And I opened the freezer, which I thought would be safe, and for some reason put my head in and took a big sniff. I don't know why. I was just compelled to do so, and I nearly died. And then I said to my colleague who was standing beside me, like, don't open that. It's really bad. And she walked over as if also compelled to do so. And then we like sat on the floor in that unit, and it was such a disaster. And we just laughed for like probably 20 minutes, like that hard belly laugh of like we had to clean it up, but we were like, we just laughed about it first. It was so bad.
Well, it strikes me as one of those things where I have to imagine you're both sitting here going, it's not like we don't have 20 other really hard things to do. And now we also have to clean this horrific sludge out of it. It's not like we just toss this refrigerator.
Why did the freezer smell so bad? I thought the freezer would be safe.
Yeah, you think generally I think freezer, and I think less.
It's fairly innocuous.
What was the source of the odor? Do you remember?
I don't know. No, I don't know. We didn't look that carefully. Like those situations, you don't want to necessarily look that closely.
No, you cut and run.
You get it out of there. Yeah.
You double up on the rubber gloves.
She also had a full wine bottle stuck into the drywall, and I wasn't sure how she did that either.
What?
Yeah.
Neck first or butt first?
Neck first. But it was in there so perfectly.
You think this was like a handcrafted storage solution, or was it a fit of rage?
Both, probably.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you don't have a proper wine rack, smashing it through the drywall.
Actually, what surprised me more was that it was full.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. Maybe it was a special bottle. I don't know.
Yeah.
I also didn't look too closely, nor did I bring it home.
Were you tempted? Were you tempted to drink that wine?
No. Oh my God, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I believe you. I believe you. What's your life like outside of work? Give me the broad strokes.
I have an 8-year-old daughter and a partner. We live in a fairly big city in Canada, really close to my family. I have a sister who lives about half an hour away, and my folks live about an hour away. So really grateful for that. Yeah, I like to spend time outside, and I like to spend time with friends, and I'm middle-aged and perimenopausal, so I'm like kind of loose cannon sometimes, but trying to get that under control. And I used to do a lot of traveling and do all these exciting things, and I feel like life is kind of a little bit more boring, if you will, these days. But I guess that comes with the territory. I love going to drag shows, and I love supporting that community, and I'm learning to bead from an Indigenous, actually in 2 separate venues from Indigenous folks here. So learning how to do jewelry, and yeah, it's just a lot of shuttling my kid to skateboarding and stuff,
I mean, I love that. There's a lot of info. You said 8-year-old daughter?
Yes.
I love that skateboarding has diversified. When I grew up, it was generally for like macho boys, and not
totally.
not jockish. It was like punk rock macho boys.
Yeah. No, it is. I think it is really diverse. And here, there's this really great. It's for female identifying and non-binary folks. It's a skateboard club. and they meet every second Wednesday, and they just skate together. And they have mentors who are like in their 20s, and she's in the 8 to 13-year-old group, and they just skate for an hour and a half or 2 hours together. She's going tonight for 4 hours to a thing. It's really cool. It's so empowering, and it's all about connection and friendship, and it's also about skateboarding, you know?
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. She declared this summer that skateboarding is her sport. She's like, Mom, this is my sport. And I was like, okay, let's do it then. So we're going all in.
Does she have skater vibes? Is she starting to try to have skater fashion and style?
She hasn't figured that out yet, but I'm sure it's coming. The more time we spend with the community and like in these spaces, I think it's only a matter of time. I mean, up until February, she was like, I only wear leggings and dresses. And then one day we're at the mall. She's like, Mom, I need a pair of jeans that are ripped up. And I was like, what? Like this girl who would never wear pants. And then we bought her a pair of jeans, and she's like, and I need a crop top. And I was like, what? And now she only wears jeans and crop tops. So I don't know. I'm sure the skater thing will come.
So it's shifting. She's starting to make firm decisions about her own style, though.
Totally. She's really coming into herself, I think,
That's
is
cool.
what's happening. So
that's cool.
It's super cool.
Let's go ahead and pause for some ads, because we have to. And now's as good a time as any. We'll be right back. I'm the dad of a 5-year-old, and as you can imagine, we give our kid vitamins every day. And you know what's wild is our son's a bad eater, but he started really liking vitamins. And guess why? Because vitamins are very often just candy in disguise. Teaspoons of sugar in there, all sorts of unhealthy chemicals. You look at the ingredient list and it's concerning. It's just gummy junk. It's stuff that you sit there and you go, man, this does not feel like something that my kid should be eating for health. And that's why Hiya was created. It's the pediatrician-approved, superpowered, chewable vitamin. I'm so happy to tell you that Cal loves Hiya vitamins as much as he does those really concerning junky ones. Most of those junky ones have 5 grams of sugar in there. They can actually contribute to health issues. Hiya, 0 sugar, 0 gummy junk, yet it still tastes great. The kid still loves it, and my son is living proof of that. Hiya fills in the most common gaps in modern children's diets, provides full-body nourishment that kids need with a yummy taste that they like, and obviously there are a lot of experts putting their thoughts into this. Okay, Hiya is pressed with a blend of 12 organic fruits and veggies, then supercharged with 15 essential vitamins and minerals. We're talking D, B12, C, zinc, folate, all sorts of stuff that helps with immunity, energy, brain function, mood, concentration, teeth and bones. It's good for all the kids out there. It's non-GMO. It's vegan, dairy-free, allergy-free, gelatin-free, nut-free, all the stuff you want. And it's designed for kids 2 and up, sent straight to your door. Parents have one less thing to worry about. That's one of the things I like. You get a cool bottle with your first order, and then you get your eco-friendly refills every single month. I was shocked at how easy the transition was away from the gummy junk to Hiya. As I mentioned, my kid is not a good eater, not even close, and it went smooth, and he likes them better. Also want to recommend that you check out Hiya's Kids Probiotic and their nighttime essentials. They've got a lot of smart, good stuff out there. We've worked out a special deal with Hiya for their best-selling children's vitamin. Receive 50% off your first order. To claim this deal, go to hiyahealth.com/beautiful stories. This deal is not available on their regular website. You go to hiyahealth.com/beautiful stories. Get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults. So happy to tell you about Delete Me. Delete Me is really essential, and I personally had a great experience with them. I will tell you, as someone who has lived publicly, and as someone who has developed a cult fan base over the years, and as someone who has championed mental health, there's a Venn diagram there where I've wound up in some situations where people were getting a little forward on the internet, making me feel very uncomfortable, and some situations that got a little scary. And I realized that one of the things going on in this world that not everybody understands the depth of is your information is out there and there's websites trying to sell it. There are these data brokers. They are selling your address, your phone number, your parents' address, your siblings' addresses, all of their phone numbers. They can get their hands on your social security number, on all sorts of stuff. And Delete Me is a site that I have used to help get that information off the internet, and I've been blown away. I will tell you full disclosure, when I ran into some situations where this became necessary in my life, I used a few other services, and Delete Me came along. They found dozens of places where my info was still out there that the other services missed. Simple as that. I have actually used these out of necessity, and I saw Delete Me raise the bar on this type of service. So I can't imagine a better personal endorsement than that. Go get your peace of mind. You do not want your personal info out there. It's like giving strangers the key to your front door and your banking info and all sorts of stuff. You don't want to wake up one day and realize someone's messing with your bank account, or that you're being asked to pay for credit cards you never opened, or worse, you don't want people knowing where you live. We need some privacy in this world every once in a while. So go ahead, get your data removed with Delete Me. As I mentioned, I live publicly. I've been in a few situations, but one that got really concerning, and I'm hyper aware of this issue. It's so easy to find your personal info out there online. All that data lingering out there, it has actual consequences. So it's why I personally recommend Delete Me. I've seen how good and thorough they are. At the end of the day, if you're going, well, what exactly is it? It's a subscription service, removes your personal info from the largest people search databases on the web, helps prevent ID theft, doxing, phishing scams, and you can go ahead and sign up and provide the information you want deleted. Let their experts take it from there. They will take care of it. You will get personalized privacy reports showing what they found, where they found it, what they've removed. And the best part, it's not a one-time service. They stay working for you. They constantly monitor and remove the personal information you don't want out there. They do all that hard work for you and for your family. And those data brokers, they really hate Delete Me. It makes it, they don't get to make money off of your personal info anymore. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me, now at a special discount for our listeners. Today, get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Use the promo code beautiful at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is go to joindeleteme.com/beautiful and enter code beautiful at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Code is beautiful. Thanks to all the advertisers who allow us to bring this show to the world. Now let's get back to the phone call. So it's shifting. She's starting to make firm decisions about her own style, though.
Totally. She's really coming into herself, I think,
That's
is
cool.
what's happening. So
That's cool.
it's super cool. How old's your son now?
He just turned 5 2 months ago.
Isn't it a fun age?
It is. It is. 4 was amazing because,
Did you think so?
well, I thought 4 was the first time where we were able to have conversations that felt like actual real human conversations.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, that's fair.
At some point between 4 and 5, he could ask me a question and actually focus on the answer. Or I'd be like, I don't know, let's look it up. And then we'd discuss it together and he'd get fascinated by that. 5 is already great though. Because man, like he's still a little kid and he still has some tantrums from time to time, but he's also real into hugging, and he's just like a sweet kid who like wants to hang out and make people around him feel good. It's fun. And it's like an effort that he makes now. I like it.
Yeah, that's awesome. It is pretty great. And at 5, you're still hero status, as the parent.
Yeah, he loves when I'm around to play. He loves it.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine now is like, Mom, don't kiss me in public.
Yeah.
And when I drop her off in the morning at before care, she like backs into me and whispers under her breath, "I love you," and then like, but she won't hug me anymore, and I'm not allowed to kiss her. So I feel like there's a bit of a fall from grace.
That's on its way. I will say we're at a phase where he gives Hallie a much harder time about stuff than he does me. And
Yeah.
that's not, I'm like, dude, you're not doing me any favors on that. Give me the hard time once in a while, because you're giving mom the hard time about everything. And then with me, he's like, Daddy. And I'm like, dude, you're making it, there's a pressure cooker building. Spread this out.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. No, there's always one.
I mean, he definitely relies on her more. I would think that he is more connected to her and probably loves her more at this stage of life. But because I'm working and sometimes traveling, he gets a little less of me. And then that means, and these things all up. Anyway, they all add up. Anyway, can I ask you, you said you were perimenopausal and your quote was, I think you said you're something of a loose cannon, but you don't really have...
Sometimes.
You don't really have a loose cannon vibe on the phone right now. So when you're a loose cannon...
Well, not right now.
Sure.
Like, I just, like, emotionally, I have a hairpin, like, trigger emotional response to things. And so, like, one day I'll be totally fine, and the next day I'm like, not in my work I can keep it together, but it's probably my partner who bears the brunt of it. Or I can be just like, or like just like kind of Hulk vibes actually. And this is all kind of new in the last year or so. So we're experimenting with hormones and some of those things to try and hopefully rein it in.
Now, when you are having those Hulk vibes, in the moment, are you aware that the Hulk vibes are happening, or is it more when the Hulk vibes calm down, you're able to look back and go, okay, here's the parts that are valid, and here's the parts where something was getting out of control?
It's largely irrational, I would say, and not necessarily, like, I know that I'm being, like, out of hand, but I can't stop it from being out of hand, if that makes sense.
Wow.
And then pride gets in the way, and then I don't like to admit that that's the way it went.
That sounds scary for everybody,
It can
including
be,
you.
I think. Yeah. But it is. I've been on hormones now for the last few months, and it is getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know what was happening, or was a doctor able to say, like, hey, so you're in this phase of life, these types of hormones can help? Was that news to you, or were you like, oh no, body's changing, got to see a doctor to see if we can level out the mood?
I did a lot of reading and research just because of my age, right? So I was like, I did a lot of reading and research. So I found a doctor here who specializes in menopause, and I went to see her, and I was like, these are the symptoms, and she's like, yeah. She's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to try hormones, and she's like, great, let's do it. So it was I Dr. Googled it first.
You were on it.
Yeah. It took me a while to put it all together, I think. But when I finally did and I started researching, I was like, oh, this is what's going on for me, Like, I checked most of the boxes. I was like, okay, this rage is not.
And has it been helping? Have the hormones been helping, you think?
Yeah. Things, I mean, we're still playing with dosage and stuff like that, but yes, definitely.
Yeah, that's
when I remember to take them.
And are those injections or pills or what?
No, the estrogen is a gel that I put on my leg in the morning, and the progesterone is a pill that I take at night.
Simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Thank goodness we did IVF to have my daughter, and that was so many injections. I don't think in fact, I would not do it if it was injectables.
I bet. You've probably had enough injections in your life, I would imagine, after
Yes,
that
I'm good.
experience.
Solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's good times.
Yeah.
I was like, getting old is so glamorous. I don't feel old.
How did you and your partner meet?
How do we meet?
Yeah.
His version of the story is different than mine, but I'll tell you my version of the story. I was a year post separation from my first husband. And I was on a bit of a tear. Me and the girls, we'd go out and I'd have these DFMOs, dance floor makeouts.
DFMOs.
And it always, yeah, that was my own thing. I was like, and I think I made it up actually. But I was just going out and like making out with people all over the place. At the bar. But it would always stay at the bar, and I would never, it would never go beyond there. I like, wouldn't give anyone my number, would never go home with anyone. I was just like, I'm just here for the makeouts, which was not really like received very well by most people. Anyways, I digress. We were at this bar, and there was a Newfie band playing, like from the east coast of Canada. And me and my girlfriends were all there, and I saw him from across the room, and I'd point at people and like motion for them to come over. And then I'd be like, hey, are you single? And they'd be like, yeah or no. And if they said no, then I'd be like, fine. And if they said yes, I'd be like, want to make out. So,
hold on.
I set my,
hold on. Pause.
Okay.
This started with you being like, I'm not a social worker, but I'm just such a good fit for this job where I can sort of be like an angel presence helping shepherd people to safety.
At work.
And now it turns out that you're straight up going out to bars, pointing at randos, beckoning them to you and just going, make out with me.
No, this was before. This was 10, 12 years ago.
Still, we're seeing the dichotomy of all these different people that live inside of you.
Oh, there's a lot. But yeah, and so me and my girlfriends, our three names all start with the same letter. And he says we cornered him against the pool table, but that's not true. Anyways, that's his version. And I gave him the question. He said he was single. I said, do you want to make out? He said, sure. I was like, let's hit the dance floor then. But then there was something endearing about him, and he had pretty significant social anxiety, but he also couldn't extract himself from the situation because I think he was too scared to. So he anyways, I bought him a beer and we got to chatting and for some odd reason gave him my phone number.
Now, I just want to hear, you did say it sounds like you're saying that he wanted to leave but was too scared.
But not in like a threatening way. He was just like, he was so anxious, and he had a stutter. He doesn't have a stutter anymore because he doesn't have the same anxiety anymore, but he had a stutter. It was very endearing. It was so cute.
If you are a person who's riddled with social anxiety to the point where you have a stutter, and then a woman beckons you from afar, traps you with her two friends against a pool table, and is like, you're making out with me in public tonight, that's life-changing for someone who's got a social anxiety to the point where it takes on a physical form.
And he wore his ball cap pulled down so that he didn't have to make eye contact. And like probably 3 or 4 months into our relationship, I was like, look, I'm really social. Like I have all this stuff going on. Like you're going to have to I can't have you always hiding behind me. So like, what do we got to do? And he figured it out. Now he's a social butterfly.
I bet.
He'll even sit in a restaurant not with his back against the wall.
Was he an assassin? That's like an assassin thing from the movies.
No, he doesn't like people. He didn't like people walking behind him. So I don't know what he thought they were going to do. But.
He's like he's a skittish man before he meets you. Scared of eye contact, back against the wall. And you said you coaxed that little baby deer off the ice and said, no, stop being skittish, sliding around through this cold, harsh world. Make out with me on a dance floor, then let's just stay together in perpetuity afterwards.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, we've been together, I guess, 2000 and I think we've been together 13 years. So.
Wow.
I met him in June of 2011.
That's an eye-opening look into who you are. It's also an eye-opening look into your prior marriage that you mentioned. You were
That was
pent
a
up.
total.
You were pent up, huh? You had some fun to be had. You needed to go out and have fun after that one.
Yeah. So I married my first husband in secret while living in West Africa.
Huh? Wait.
And
How come everything you say, I'm like, wait, hold on, what?
Yeah. So I was living and working in West Africa, and I met him. And 3 months after we met, I got married to him without telling anybody, which was disgusting. But whatever. Hindsight is 2020. And we lived in Korea for a bit together, and then eventually he came here. And when he came here, I mean, we were long distance for so long, and then we were living in Ghana, and then we were living in Korea, and then we came here. And I think when we were living in West Africa, it was his world, and when we were in Korea, we were in neither one of our worlds. So, but when we came here, he felt so he couldn't reconcile who I was and like in this space and in this world, and like as a woman in this space. And he became more and more controlling of, like, he became vegetarian, and then he became, like, he started controlling what he ate and how he ate and all these things. And then our relationship was never a good relationship, shockingly, I know, but it got really violent one night, and I walked out and I never looked back. So, and then I spent that next year just blowing off steam.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm sorry you went through that.
It was, yeah. It was a really hard, like, because he came to Canada in January, and then I found out that September that I was pregnant. And then that December, at the 20-week ultrasound, we found out that the baby had a complex congenital heart defect. He's Muslim, and I am atheist. And we were presented with the option of carrying to term, where the outlook was not very good, or to let my son go. And I knew immediately in my heart that the latter was the right choice for us and for him, and that our relationship was already bad, but the divide there in how to manage that and how to deal with that and how to process all of that, I think just made it just became so volatile. And so we chose to let my son go at 21 weeks. I delivered him. And then from there, things just evolved. So, and then it came to blows the one night, and then that was the end. That was the Reader's Digest version of a very sad story.
I mean, it sounds like it was headed in the wrong direction.
Totally.
And then you also threw a tragedy on top.
Yeah. And then there was just no bringing it back.
Yeah.
Not that we would ever, like, we were not going to last anyways, but because there was the pregnancy, we were like, okay, like, maybe we can figure this out. And then when the pregnancy ended, there was just not a lot of choices, or there was no hope,
And you said the violence erupted one time, and you said done.
Yeah.
Out.
Yeah.
No second chances.
I walked
no
out at 4:00 in the morning, and I didn't go back.
Yeah, it's sad, but you hear stories like this and you go, and every story is different, but you go, oh, probably saved yourself a lot of pain by having that hardline stance the first time it happened.
For sure. I think, like, on average, it takes women, they say, 7 times to finally leave. And I was working in the sector. I was working in a domestic violence organization. And I think, not that I was never looking to be assaulted, don't get me wrong, but like I was looking for a way to like finally end it. And I was like, you just did it. Like you just gave, it was as horrible as it was also like, now I'm free. Now I can walk away without any hangups, you know? Don't worry, I've got lots of hangups, but not like,
right.
It was like it was kind of a ticket to like, there's no fixing this. Yeah.
Well, before I was laughing about the ridiculousness of going out with your girls and pointing at random men and then making out with them and then wandering away, but it makes a lot more sense. Makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
You're looking to have fun. You're not looking for commitment, and you don't.
No.
You want to have fun and explore. You don't even want to. You're not even looking to find a situation with someone you trust. It's not a factor.
No,
you don't want things
I was
to
just
get to
looking
a stage
to
where
get
that's
myself
required.
Totally. I was just looking to get into ridiculous, like just to be ridiculous, you know, just to let my hair down and just to blow off that steam. I mean, like the idea of it now is like unfathomable, but that's okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And to think, I called to tell you about the time I wrestled an iguana on my sister's front lawn in Canada.
None of this is even what you talked to Andrea about?
I know.
You know, we've been talking for over 40 minutes. And you're just now mentioning that you called and told Andrea you wanted to talk about you wrestled an iguana?
Yeah, it was a big one too. It was like probably 4.5 feet long.
Our iguanas are not a native species to Canada, to my knowledge.
Definitely not. No, definitely not.
How did you wind up wrestling a 4-foot-long iguana on your sister's front lawn in Canada? What are you talking about? What are you even talking about? What is this show? What is this show? Why do you listen to it at 1.5 times the speed? Why do you listen to it at 1.5? It only makes it weirder.
So I can listen to more of it.
Tell me what you're talking about. What's this iguana situation? And just trust me, the iguana situation is very real. You're going to want to know more about it too. We'll be right back. Stories Podcast is one of the longest running podcasts for kids out there. They've got over 500 episodes. You can dive right in, find something for the whole family right now. Every single week, they're out there. They bring you a family-friendly story that your kids will love. And I'm telling you, I've been on car rides with a toddler who's getting restless. I've been in situations where you and your partner are both busy with the things that adults need to do with cleaning your house and taking care of work. And sometimes you don't want to stick a kid in front of a screen. And sometimes what you need is a story that they can lock in on that's for them. And that's not going to drive you nuts in the process. There's classic myths on Stories Podcast, featuring favorites like Zeus, Thor, and Anansi, fun morale fables like The Tortoise and the Hare, classics like Winnie the Pooh, Peter Rabbit, Snow White, and Rapunzel, even original stories that haven't been heard before. It's great. It's screen-free. It's a way to enjoy family time. There's tight writing on there, great performances, silly songs, things that your kids are going to lock into and remember. And I'm telling you, I have such high value in my life for kids' entertainment that is done right. And this is one of the examples. Stories Podcast is great. Go look for Stories Podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts. Just search Stories Podcast in your podcast app. Look for their green girl and dragon logo. I travel a lot, and figuring out what to pack is stressful. Because you have clothes that don't fit, clothes that are worn out, clothes that don't match right. You don't want to get out there to your destination and find out, oh, I brought some old beat up clothes and I'm not going to feel good about how I look. Guess what? This all changed for me when I discovered Quince. Quince is now my go-to for high quality essentials, including vacation essentials. The things that you're going to pack on trips for years to come. Like premium European linen dresses, blouses, and shorts from $30, washable silk tops, premium luggage options, so much more. And here's the best part about Quince, and you're going to want to look into this because it's shocking how true it is. I have done it. All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories, they can cut the cost of the middleman. They pass the savings on to you. 50 to 80% savings, everybody. This is not a joke. Go look into it. Quince only works, by the way, with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, as well as premium fabrics and finishes, which I love. You know, there's a real moral obligation to spend your money in places that make the world better, or at the very least not worse. And the fact that they're out here partnering with factories, making sure you can hold your head up high, kudos to them. I think that's really incredible. I've said it many times on the show at this point. I got a gray sweater from Quince and I put it on and I said, oh, this is what it feels like to feel good when you look in the mirror and see what you're wearing. This sweater is rad. It's my absolute go-to confidence sweater and I love it. I love it. And you can spend a lot of time out there and you can spend a lot of money out there looking at all these different brands. But if you're thinking style, you're thinking price, you're thinking quality of the product, you're going to find them all at Quince and they make life extremely easy. So please do check them out. Pack your bags with high quality essentials from Quince. Go to quince.com/beautiful for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/beautiful. Get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/beautiful. Thank you to everybody who advertises on the show and allows it to exist. Now let's finish off the phone call. Tell me what you're talking about. What's this iguana situation?
So my sister called me and she was like, hey, sister, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm just getting ready to go, like, wherever. And she was like, there's an iguana on my front lawn. Can you come and get it?
Why did she call you? What?
Okay. Well, who else would you call? I don't know. And so I go over and
the police, animal control, the fire department. I could think of so many people I'd call.
She knew where the iguana came from, but she couldn't get a hold of the people who owned it. And she didn't want anybody to get into trouble. So she called me. And so fine, I go and so her and her friend are standing there trying to block it from going out onto the road. They were like, we don't want it to get run over, but they also didn't want to touch it. And so I was like, okay, we're going to need something to put it in. So she brought out like a standard size cooler and a wicker laundry basket. And I thought the wicker laundry basket was too scary because of all the pokey parts. So I was like, okay, we'll try with the cooler. And I'd watched some like Crocodile Hunter or whatever, that guy from
the guy who died?
So
the guy who died? Who's killed by an animal?
Yeah.
That guy?
Yeah, but not an iguana. And so I jumped onto the iguana and I grabbed it in front of its back legs and in front of its front legs. And it immediately started thrashing and hissing. And it's like, and I'm trying to hold on to it, but they're remarkably strong. And so I had to let it go because it was cutting up my hands. They're also quite sharp. So I was like, I'm going to need something to grab it with. So she runs into the house and gets a towel and we do the same thing. But now I have it in my arms and I kind of fold it in half and we put it in the cooler. And my sister's got the lid and I'm like, the lid. And she's going, but she can't give me the lid because she's panicking. So the iguana jumps out because I can't hold it anymore. So we do that whole scenario again and we get it in the cooler. We get the lid on. And I was like, now what do we do? I was like, we can't leave it in there. It's like we origamied it. And so she was
you mean like folded it up? You're using origami as a verb.
To fit in the cooler because it was just like one of those standard size coolers.
And it's so 4.5 feet long, this thing.
Yeah. And so we took it into her bathroom. And this is years ago. So it's not like she could send a text message to her partner who she was living with at the time. So she put it in the bathtub and they had those glass sliding doors. So we put the cooler in the bathtub, flipped the lid off. We ran the water for a bit so there was water in the bottom just in case it got thirsty or something. And we just closed the door. And then she wrote on a sticky note, caution, iguana in bathtub, and just stuck it on her front door. And then she went to work. And I went to do whatever it was I was going to do.
Probably go corner a
I wish
man.
you could see the hand
Corner a man up
motions
against a
of-
dartboard. Corner a man up against a dartboard in a dark bar and make out with him without ever sharing names.
yeah. Yeah.
What?
Sure.
Who? Do you know what happened to the iguana?
It belonged to her upstairs neighbor. And I'm assuming they came and got it.
You never followed up on this?
Well, it didn't stay in their bathtub. I asked
But-
if she wanted to call animal control, but she said she didn't want to. So
But you never in all this time have asked, like, hey, how did that end? You never thought to ask.
no, I didn't. But I mean, the assumption is that the owners came and got it because she didn't own an iguana after that. So I don't know.
Oh.
It didn't seem relevant.
This
Have I rendered you
is,
speechless?
yeah, which is hard to do. Well, only because, like I said, you waited. It was over 40 minutes before you mentioned that. But here's what you
because we
did.
got onto other things.
Well, here's what you did that I'm going to tell you what I resent. I'm going to tell you why I resent you, my friend on the phone.
Okay, tell me.
It's because you decided to tell me all these good-hearted, giving, community-driven, helping abused people, working at progressive thinking, harm reduction style treatment facilities, and you help all these people. And you talked about that for half an hour, so I really got on your side. And then you lay out that you're a mom of a daughter who skateboards, who's developed, and you make me fall in love with your family. So first your work life, then your family.
Yeah.
And then you go, and now that I have him at a place where he can't go too hard at me, now why don't I tell him all the ridiculous shit that I've done?
I'm skilled, Chris.
You went and got me
in
on
the
your
bait and
side.
switch.
You went and got me on your side. Yeah, I feel like one of those guys who's been dragged across a bar and you made it out with it and then just giggled and walked away. I feel like one of those guys right now. Like I feel like I got masterfully placed into a corner of your choosing. Like I can't tell you that you strike me as a wild person because I'm like, well, you help the abused, literally.
But
what
we
do you?
can be more than one thing.
Yeah, you're proof of that. You're proof of that. So I'm going to ask you something real weird. So it sounds like your life has calmed down since you got together with your partner, had your daughter, you know, as it does for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still have the make out in a bar iguana wrestling streak deep inside you? Does it ever rear its head these days, or is it something that's been put to bed?
It has definitely not been put to bed.
How does it
Sometimes
flare
it
up
just
these
takes
days?
naps. It's usually fueled by wine, but I'm highly suggestible, right? So, like, if you want me to go on stage at Beer Fest and eat deep fried mac and cheese bites in a contest, I will do that. If you want me to, like, put on a ridiculous outfit and do, or, you know, I'm open to things.
So it does not take much convincing.
No. A mere suggestion.
You seem like the type of person.
Maybe that's who I truly am.
Do people in your life hesitate to ever jokingly dare you to do stuff because you do it?
Might just do it.
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone say that they hesitate, but that might be the truth.
Damn. This one's gone in a lot of directions I did not expect.
Wasn't that the way of many of these calls?
It is, but I got to tell you, most of the ones that take 90-degree turns, it's like at least Most other calls, you would at least fight an animal that's native to your region.
Like a moose or what?
Oh, have you ever seen a moose? I heard moose are truly
So many.
terrifying. I heard they're real scary
They
in
are.
person. And that they'll like
They
charge
are,
your
yeah.
car, and you charge your car, and that if you're a tourist in an area where you see a moose, you don't sit around, you get out of there.
Well, that would be the smart thing to do. But and also if you hit them with your car, like it's really dangerous to hit them because they're so tall, and so their body ends up coming onto the windshield. But I've never hit a moose.
I hit a deer the other month, about 3 months ago.
Ugh.
It was really
Sorry.
sad. Guess who was in the car with me?
Your kiddo?
Yeah.
Worst.
But here's the thing. We were coming. It was because I live kind of out in the woods now. It's like it's woodsy, it's farmy. And I was driving home with him, and I had borrowed my dad's pickup truck. And someone was coming up this country road, and they had their high beams on it. And they, like a jerk, did not turn off the high beams. So I did not see. I saw something flash across the high beams, and something's running across the road. And I jammed on the brakes really hard. And that was one deer that made it past me. And then there was another deer that, as I was skidding to a halt, it hit the front of the car, but it got up and ran away. And Cal in the back seat was like, "Did we just hit that deer?" And I was like, "Yeah, we hit the deer.
Just nudged it.
We hit the deer." But I said, the deer got up and ran away. So I think it's okay, but that was really scary. I'm sorry. Are you okay? And he said the saddest response.
What?
He looked at it. He went, "It was a mommy. It had no antlers. That means it's a mommy deer." And I was like, "Oh." And it was on Valentine's Day.
To add insult to injury.
It was on Valentine's Day. I just remembered.
Oh, of course.
Because I was trying to get home because Hallie, we had a babysitter, and Hallie and I were going to go out for dinner. So on Valentine's Day, he's like, "Oh no, it was a mommy deer. It had no antlers. Daddy, it had no antlers. That means it's a mommy deer." And I was like, "Dude, it's fine." It got up and walked away. I'm sure it's not going to collapse 20 feet away from the road. It's fine. It's just scared. And I convinced myself.
Oh man, I have so many stories about hitting not moose, but like I was in a car that hit a goat once, and I was on a motorcycle where we hit a pig.
You hit a pig on a motorcycle? What is your deal? Who are you?
I wasn't driving the motorcycle. I was a passenger on the motorcycle.
Just being the passenger on a motorcycle is a thing I've always thought is weird when people do that. Whose motorcycle was it?
My ex-husband's.
Why did you hit a pig?
It just ran out into the road. We didn't hit it on purpose.
Was it a wild pig?
No, it was just like one of those pink ones, just a pig.
Were you on a farm?
It wasn't a big one. No.
Then what?
In the city we lived in. In the city we lived in West Africa, there was just livestock around. It was a big city, but there was just livestock around.
Was the pig okay?
We hit a pig. The pig was okay, and we didn't even drop the bike. We did drop the bike when we hit a person, though.
What?
But that person was okay, and so was I.
How did you hit a person?
It's just like a different driving experience there, right? Like the rules are less, and they're it's a little bit more chaotic.
Now, can I also ask?
I had my own little motorcycle there, and I was hit by 2 taxis, and I hit one, but I walked away from all of it.
Now, I'm making an assumption here. Are you a white person in Canada?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm making another assumption, although I don't know, because you mentioned you lived in cities, and I do know that a lot of us in this part of the world stereotype Africa. So I don't want to, I'm making an assumption, but I would have to imagine like a white Canadian lady you were not the most common demographic when you were living in West Africa. So when you would hit someone or be hit by someone, what are people's reactions? Because I have to imagine that that's also something they're reacting to.
It does, like, when we hit the person, he put the bike down because that was the safest thing to do. And someone, like, it stopped, like, people stopped their vehicles, and someone picked me up like a baby and carried me off the road, even though I was fine. Like, I was like, I'm fine. Like, I'm totally fine. You know, like,
And you were a grown up.
People,
to be fair, you were not a baby.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, I'm okay. I'm okay. And they're like, I know, madame. And they, like, carried me off the road like a baby.
Like a baby? Like cradled you like a baby?
Mm-hmm. It was very funny. Oh, I can hear crisis brewing, and I'm in my office with the door closed. That's okay.
Do you need to go?
There's other people who can manage.
We've got 5 minutes left, and then we're supposed to do the bonus content. But if you need to split,
we can do it. It's fine. No, it's totally fine.
I'm actually a little scared to do the bonus. I don't feel like you're someone that it's even actually maybe not safe to ask you random questions.
You can. And I have wide boundaries and very little shame, as you may have noticed. So,
but even in the course of the regular call, you're like, oh yeah, I've also hit humans with motorcycles. I once ran over a pig.
I didn't intentionally hit a human.
I didn't say intentionally.
The city.
Where you get mad at me?
But because you're like, you hit people on momotorcycles.
You did. Like, you just told me about it.
Well, our motorcycle hit a person. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
We're splitting hairs here, if you ask me. You're splitting hairs, if you ask me.
If we had more than 5 minutes, I would tell you about the pregnant goat, because that's a funny story. But
what's the pregnant goat?
The one that we hit I didn't hit it. I was a passenger in a taxi that hit it. Also,
how do you know it was pregnant?
Well, it was very obvious.
Was it okay?
No. Which is why the taxi driver got torn a new one for the next 20 minutes on the drive back into town.
By you?
Yes.
So the driver hit a pregnant goat, the goat died, and then you yelled at the driver for 20 minutes?
Yeah, I did.
Was the driver real sad?
No, he sped up. And I had my sunglasses on, and I slowly pushed them up to the top of my head, and I looked at him, and I said, was that effing necessary? And then it just went from there. Needless to say, every time I went to the taxi stand, and if he was the first car, he would get in his car and drive to the back of the line.
Wait, have you even told me what you were doing in West Africa? I forget.
No, I've been there a few times. I was there for 8 months working in a mother tongue literacy and development project, and then I worked for the girls' education unit in the Ghana Education Service.
That's awesome.
It was very awesome. It was very awesome.
2 minutes left. I just kind of want to shut up and see what happens if I give you 2 minutes of airtime with no regulation.
I don't even know. I feel like I don't even know where to start. That's the problem. Or end, I guess, if it will. I'm just really grateful to have this opportunity to chat to you. I'm sorry that it was so disjointed and all over the map.
It wasn't disjointed. I think you're just used to it at a different speed. I think your perception, this is what it's usually like.
Maybe.
You're just used to listening to it faster.
You're way more laid back than you sound. And less chipmunk.
No. I just want to be clear. When you're like, oh, you're more laid back and less chipmunk, you're the one this is reality. I'm the reality version of me. Just to be clear, this is my reality.
Okay.
You're one of those people who I think you twist all the realities you enter around yourself in a way that's really fascinating and often enjoyable. But I do just need to be clear that this is the reality version of me.
Okay. Noted. I'll remember this the next time I'm listening to you at 1.5.
I sort of get the sense that you've lived a lot of your life at 1.5 speed.
Maybe. I've been so fortunate, and I've been given a lot of really great opportunities in my life, and from those opportunities just come really great stories sometimes, and like experiences that you can't make up, like to travel and to work and to live in different parts of the world, and to meet people who are in all these different like experiences in their life is just such a privilege. And it brings with it such I just have a lot of stories, and I'm a storyteller. That's like one of the things that I do,
It also sounds like you've been really good about saying yes to things in life, of just, let's try it. Let's get in there. Let's see what happens. And I think that that's a quality that a lot of us are trained not to have. And I think you're a great example of why it can make life so much more interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to harness that yes a bit more, like I think as having a daughter and like wanting to like protect her, has put up a bit more of a no, and I'm trying to get more into that, like to embrace the yes again, I guess.
I love that. That's a great note to end. I think this is a great point to say goodbye to everybody who's listening for free, and to thank them for listening, and to say that anybody who wants more, and I can't even imagine what's coming. But we're going to ask you 5 random questions. You can sign up at beautifulanonymous.com. Do you want to say bye to everybody listening for free, caller?
Bye, everybody.
Caller, thank you so much, sincerely, for everything you do to make the world a safer place for people, as well as all the ridiculous things you've done along the way. Thank you to our producer, Andrea Quinn. Thank you to Shellshag for our theme music. If you want to know more about me, including all the tour dates that are out there, you can go to punchup.live/Chris Gethard. Our voicemail number is 973-306-4676. Our Instagram is Beautiful Anonymous Pod, and you can join the Facebook group at Beautiful Anonymous, the community. This week on Beautiful Anonymous Plus, here's some of what you'll get from the 5 questions. Have you had any near-death experiences?
Yeah. I was whitewater kayaking in a really big river here. I used to whitewater kayak.
Geez.
And, we were rafting, but I used to whitewater kayak. But we were in a raft, and we weren't with a rafting company. It was just a bunch of us. And it was a really, really big river, and it was in flood, and we flipped the raft in a really big spot, and it's a glacial river, so the water is incredibly cold. And my friend who was with me went into panic mode, and so she was holding me down in the water until I made her stop. And then the water was so cold that I felt like so heavy in the water. I was wearing a life jacket and a helmet and stuff. And someone threw a throw bag to me, and it was not 10 feet from me, and I couldn't physically get to it. I was like, and for 1 second, I thought it's over, and I closed my eyes, and it was only for a second, maybe not even a whole second, but I was like, I can't. And then I opened my eyes, and I was like, no, okay, like, you're not dying here today.
Don't forget to sign up for Beautiful Anonymous Plus at beautifulanonymous.com.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to leave up holiday decorations year-round. Others have the need to use their garage as practice space for their new metal band. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.